Hey everyone, it's Blue Lizard Jello, and welcome back to another episode of Everything Possible in Dark Souls 2, and today we take on the Shrine of Amana. Now this area can be about as deadly as you want it to be, so follow my advice and you might make it through alive. First things first, we're going to punch this branch. You can use any sort of attack. You can use a range attack if you're worried about falling off. Continue up this path. I'm using my trusty pickaxe. Take out this poison horn beetle. And inside this wooden chest we have wilted dusk herbs and a skeptic spice. Now the Shrine of Amana can be particularly dangerous for a few reasons. Number one, the casters have incredible homing capabilities. Now granted, that has been nerfed somewhat, however they can still bank around corners if you're not careful. Number two, there are hidden enemies that are mostly submerged in the water. Number three, there are Archdrake Knights that have maces that will do some significant damage. Grab ourselves this soul item. Number four, if you're not careful and if you're not paying attention to where you're walking, you very easily could walk off the edge and actually fall to your death because there are ledges hidden under the water. And number five, there are actually two ogres in this area, the same ogres that we ran into in Things Betwixt. The only difference is we'll be fighting them in water this time around, so if we're not careful, the movement reduction that the water causes could get us into trouble. The Flame Butterfly and the Twinkling Titanite, that is the item that we knocked out of the branch when we were up top. You also notice that I picked up the Archdrake Helm, and the helm actually has the effect of giving you +1 to intelligence when you have that equipped. There are a lot of drops that you can get in this area, namely Twinkling Titanite. You'll see that a lot of people recommend farming this area for Twinkling Titanite, and as long as you can handle the enemies, it's really not a bad idea. However, as a melee character, I can tell you from first-hand experience, this is not a pleasant area. 3 Crimson Waters in this chest, and we will loop around and hop in here so we can talk to our first Milfinito, or Siren, whatever you want to call them. Basically, these are the women that are singing in this area, and their singing is what's causing the flame butterflies to fly around the enemies' heads that are submerged in the water, which keep them placid. When they stop singing, that's actually when the enemies become truly hostile. She did gift us with a smooth and silky stone for trading with the crows. But going back to what I was saying earlier, as a melee character, you have to plan your attacks carefully, and you have to scout the area as well, because as you can see, these enemies hiding in the water are everywhere. There are quite a few of them, and some of them are hidden pretty deep in the water, and you won't see them until, unfortunately, it's too late. So just watch where you're going, plan your attacks, and move in cautiously, and don't be afraid to backtrack and heal. And if you're just paying attention, you'll notice that as soon as the sirens started singing again, that's when the flame butterflies reappeared over the enemies' heads. Trying to pull these drakes one at a time. We got the Archdrake Gloves, another piece of the Archdrake set. Now the helm that they drop, which we've already picked up, is the only piece of armor that actually has a special ability. All the other pieces are strictly for armor or cosplay's sake. Soul of a Lost Undead and a few torches. Run out here, grab some bleeding serum that one of those enemies dropped. Soul of a Lost Undead and another Skeptic spice, and we'll take out this enemy hiding. And we have a large Soul of a Proud Knight. Before you run in this cave, take notice to the left. We do have a hidden enemy, and behind him is a hidden wooden chest. And in that chest, we can pick up a Dragon Charm. Now, while this area can be difficult, and often is, especially for a new player, especially for a new melee player, which I will tell you, I was a quality build when I first came through this area, when I first picked up the game, and I was using a halberd. I had it to +10, and this area was a nightmare. I will be honest. I'm quite happy to be running through here with spells and a bow and arrow. Inside the chest we have Twinkling Titanite and 3 smooth and silky stones. However, as dangerous as it is, it's gorgeous. Take some time to actually pay attention to the surroundings, and again, take any sense of geography and put it as far out of your mind as you can. However, this area is beautiful. Look up at the sky, look up at the interweaving tree roots and branches that top the sky, the old architecture, everything. It's gorgeous. The lighting is beautiful. Just take some time and actually appreciate it. And then heal, because you probably just got hit a lot while you were doing that. Or use the human effigy if you died. Now, one thing you're going to notice in just a little bit is that I have purchased the Cast Light sorcery from both Strayed and from Dark Diver Grandal, because this is a great area to use it in. When you are traversing some of the narrow pathways under the water, having a light source makes it very easy to actually see where the land is so you don't walk off the edge. However, if you use a torch, like a lot of people will recommend, especially because the game gives you torches and flame butterflies in this area, these water enemies are attracted to it and will attack you and will become more aggressive. Cast Light, however, does not cause them to be aggressive. But we can walk over here to the left. You can already see something under the water, and we have a Ferrous Lockstone contraption. So we'll go ahead and use that. And the wall right behind it should start glowing. And inside we have an iron chest, and in here is, in my opinion, one of the most interesting weapons in the game. It's the Helix Halberd. Now, if you take this weapon out, you'll notice it's a spear-looking type weapon that has two claws, or two wings, coming out the side. When you use the strong attack with this weapon, those wings actually fold out, and a hidden spear or a hidden spike actually comes out the center. If you can time it, or if you can get the distance right so you're hitting enemies just with the very tip of that spike, it does massive damage. Now, I don't know that anyone's gone out there and truly calculated it. However, I have heard that it can do up to 400% of the weapon's damage if you can get the distance correct. It's the sweet spot. It's that direct versus indirect damage that was very strong in Demon Souls. In these ruins, turn to the right, and we can grab ourselves a fire seed. We have another caster that we need to deal with. Luckily, spell sniping is a thing, and it's a thing I use a lot. Almost rolled out of the way. Okay, from here, let's use another Cast Light, because we do have a secret over here. It's something, unfortunately, we can't access just yet. But just so you know where it is, and we are going to be revisiting this when this door is accessible. But behind these roots, we have a door, and unfortunately it's locked. We can access this door after we've killed King Vendrick. And we will be killing King Vendrick, even though he's an optional boss. We will be taking him out for the sake of getting all the items in the game. And there are some items in that room that we are going to want to pick up. For those of you wondering, this is the composite bow that I purchased from Ornifex. And off in the distance you can see our second ogre friend. So we'll go ahead and take care of Shrek with a few lightning spears. And the reason he's over there, number one, he will aggro if you are just walking across that path to get to the next hut. However, he's actually guarding a path that has some items at the end of it. And this path is very narrow and can be very treacherous if you don't have a light source. So again, I recommend using Cast Light. If you don't have it, use a torch. However, there is an enemy about halfway down this pathway that will attack if you have a torch out. He's going to attack us anyway, but he is more aggressive and he'll attack you from further away if you're using a torch. There are two casters, one of them's already down, so we will start making our way forward. And you want to angle the camera down just a little bit because the path actually does wind around these pillars a few times, which means that if you're not paying attention, if you believe the left is always safe or the right is always safe, you're going to make a wrong move and you're going to die. I just went ahead and took that hit. I saw it coming, but I was too afraid that if I rolled, that was going to be the end of me. And here we have an Estus Flash Shard. That is the 12th and final shard that we can pick up in the game. And in this chest, we have the Sunlight Blade Miracle. This miracle will add 50 lightning damage to any buffable weapon. And if that weapon already has lightning damage, because it either has innate lightning damage or you've infused it, it will also give you an extra 30% of that lightning damage back. Quickly jumping back to the Estus Flash shards, that is the 12th and the final shard you can get in this game. However, as we've mentioned previously, you can only have 12 Estus charges, which means that since you already start with one, only 11 of the shards are actually useful. The other one is useless. It's just going to sit there in our inventory. By the way, if you notice on the left side of the screen just a moment ago, you could actually see a summon sign in the reflection of the water. That really makes no sense whatsoever, because why are we seeing a reflection through a wall? I know that's a question that doesn't even need to be asked because it's so ridiculous, but I asked it. I'm not taking it back. From Soft, you have a lot of explaining to do. Now we're coming out here for a good reason. There is an iron chest that's very well hidden because it is all but submerged in the water. Only the top actually sticks out, and inside we have the Fire Tempest Pyromancy. Just like Firestorm, just like Chaos Storm, this is an AoE Pyromancy that will often knock the enemies down. The only problem with the knockback is that it actually negates any damage that they would have been taking. So it's really useful for enemies with very high poise, or if they're already in an animation where they can't be knocked down, that's a really good time to cast. We did get a large Soul of a Proud Knight and Old Radiant Lifegem, and we are going to use a human effigy because we do want to be able to summon Felicia the Brave, because brave indeed is what she is. She is an absolute tank and an absolute godsend in this area. Send her out, let her do what she needs to do, because she's going to take a lot of damage, and she's one of the NPCs that's smart enough to actually heal when she's in trouble. We did just pick up the Archdrake's Mace, which is the weapon that these drakes have been using. We do have a couple of casters here who can see us from this distance, and they will start attacking right away. And there's that tracking in action, and again, I know I no longer have any ground to stand on when it comes to spell tracking, so I'll just keep my mouth shut. Using Cast Light yet again, you can see off in the distance there are some more tree roots there. That is an indication that there's something hiding behind it. We'll make our way over there. You can already see the enemy that's behind there. It's actually a third ogre, so anytime I said there were two, which was at least twice, go ahead and go back and ignore it. In fact, just forget I said that. If you have one of those Men in Black neuralizers, just use it just for those brief moments. A little bit tight quarters this time around. And here's Felicia's downfall. Luckily it worked in my favor, not in hers, but she likes to block you a lot, and sometimes that can be a little bit scary. You'll see later on when she blocks me that honestly it just makes me nervous. Behind this last route we have the Singer's Dress and the Life Ring +2. The Singer's Dress doesn't have any special capabilities, doesn't have any hidden bonus effect. This is just the dress that the Milfinito in this area wear. The Life Ring +2, however, has a very noticeable effect. In fact, this will give you an extra 12.5% of your HP as a bonus. Two more casters to deal with, as well as some of the Archdrakes at the end. And while Felicia is just taking hits left and right, go ahead and snipe them out of existence real quick. And here's Felicia healing, because she was in danger. She was hurt, and she's healing. I love that about her. Just one enemy remaining, and it's the healer of the group, so I left the squishy for last. Which everyone who's ever played an MMO knows that is a faux pas. Grab ourselves a holy water urn, and then at the top of this ramp, sitting on a pile of bones, we have 3 Alluring Skulls. Now, the only problem with Cast Slight is sometimes it makes the actual dropped items difficult to see, so always make it a point of running over the corpses. Got ourselves Twinkling Titanite and the Slumbering Dragon Shield. That shield, by the way, is one of the few shields in the game that has a stamina regen buff, so you will get about 5% of your stamina regen as a bonus by equipping that shield. Carefully grab those items. We got a Soul of a Hero and a Divine Blessing. Go through the Fog Gate, not the boss just yet. Instead, we just have a pack, a herd. We have a flock of poison horn beetles to deal with, or Felicia has to deal with at least. And she is just eating that gas. Yes, I did just run past an item. No, I don't know what it was. But for the sake of not hating myself when I try to sleep later on, I'm going to say it was a life gem. Just a single solitary life gem. In fact, that's absolutely what it was. No doubt in my mind. No doubt in your mind either. Let's forget the item for a moment and let's focus on what matters, please. Now what I just did there was I equipped the Seed of the Tree of Giants on my hotbar. And we're going to be using that in just a moment. And I'm not going to take credit for this tactic whatsoever. This is a fun little technique that I learned while watching a German Spies video the other day. And it's something that's very easy to pull off. Run in here, grab one of the items, in this case a Skeptic Spice. Come back here behind a pillar, and then use the Seed of the Tree of Giants. Peculiar Kindler has spawned, who is a Black Phantom NPC, and now he's not just a threat to us, he's apparently a threat to enemies everywhere. So now we just need to sit back and enjoy the show. And that is the easiest way to deal with Peculiar Kindler. It can actually be a rather troublesome NPC, considering you have these casters and these other water enemies around you. So to have them take him out for you, that's alright with me. There is one more caster hidden down that path that we'll take out before we start to wrangle up the loot in this area. I love that. Every time I watch that clip, it makes me happy. Felicia just runs out of nowhere and does this awesome jumping thrust attack. Makes my day. Human effigy from one of the enemies. Soul of a Brave Warrior and Petrified Dragon Bone. And this is where I remembered that I forgot an item. And I've done this every time that I've run Shrine of Amana. I know it's here, and I always run right past it. Using Cast Light just to be careful because there is a very narrow ledge. And hidden behind here we have a large Soul of a Proud Knight and a Green Blossom. I'll head back into that opening because you can see there's at least 2 more shinies for us to grab. What I wouldn't do for the Rusted Iron Ring in this area. We have the Red Iron Twin Blade and a Soul of a Proud Knight, so if you're looking for yet another Twin Blade, there it is. And on this corpse we have the Homing Crystal Soul Mass. Now this is another area where Felicia just really makes life difficult. I know I could have walked around her to my left, but I was way too nervous. The edge was right there, and I just picture myself dropping and dying with 29,000 souls, and it would have been her fault. And she wouldn't have been able to live with herself, and it just would have been a mess. Twinkling Titanite from this drop. And straight ahead in that shiny, we have a large Soul of a Proud Knight and a Green Blossom. Now just a quick word of note with the Homing Crystal Soul Mass or any automatic homing sorcery that you may have. Do not have them equipped when you are in this area because they will actually kill the Milfinito. They will get flagged as an enemy and they will die. And you don't want that because there are some items we're going to get later on if they are alive. So here we are finally at the boss. one of the coolest boss designs in this game, in my opinion. Not necessarily the best boss fight. He is incredibly easy, especially if you have range attacks, especially if you have lightning range attacks, and especially if you have an NPC to do the tanking for you. But as far as boss designs, I love it. It doesn't hurt that I really like frogs anyway. But as you can see, massive damage with lightning spears. And I'm sure you already know this if you played this game at all, or at least if you fought this boss. You can only attack the face or the arms. You cannot attack the body, and you cannot attack the face when the hood is pulled down. So for instance now, I'm gonna try again. For instance now, for right now, the boss is invulnerable. You can see Felicia going to town but not doing any damage. You have to wait until the face is shown. But once it is, it's free game. And as a reward for taking out that frog demon type thing, we get the Demon of Song Soul, and we get the key to the embedded. I'm going to go ahead and equip this for the short time they're actually going to have it, because this is a really cool looking item. Yes, it's a key, and I'm sure you remember where this goes. However, it is a sword. This is very Kingdom Hearts-esque, and you can use this if you'd like. However, the damage is very minimal. It cannot be upgraded, it cannot be infused, and it cannot come with you into New Game Plus. If you beat the game with this in your inventory and you go into New Game Plus, it does disappear because the game considers it a key item. In this wooden chest we have 20 magic arrows, and now we're going to run up these stairs and we're going to locate the final bonfire in the Shrine of Amana. And from here, because we now have that key, we're actually going to make a quick trip over to Drangleic Castle, and we're going to go free the third and final Milfinito. There's got to be some sort of backstory to the embedded. Something that I don't know. If you know more about the embedded than I do, please let me know in the comments below. For freeing her, you do get the Ring of the Dead. Now this ring will give you a human appearance no matter what. So if you're hollow, but you want to look human, put on the Ring of the Dead. It's really nice when you don't have to supply your own elevator music. It really is. Now coming back here, run up these stairs. There is a door immediately to the right, and it's locked. Now what do we do when there's a locked door? It's very simple. You find the nearest cliff, you run as fast as you can, and you jump right off of it. No, trust me, that's what you do. And the reason that we killed ourselves is that door will only open if you're in hollow form. You cannot be human and open that door. Once it's open, it'll stay open. But let's grab our souls, let's open that door, and let's see what's behind it. And on the ground here, and then a little bit later on, we will run into our old friends, the Prowling Magus and Congregation. Just without the healers. And that one actually dropped a poison stone for us. We do have 3 of these crawling hollows. And then we'll run a little bit further down the path and we'll take out the leader of this congregation. And while we are heading down this path in order to take him out, a quick word of note. Once you have killed the Demon of Song and you've freed the last Milfinito, you can go back to the first hut where we found the first siren, and you can talk to her and exhaust her dialogue, and she will actually give you 2 divine blessings. I didn't actually do this in the run because, well, I don't need any more divine blessings, but mostly I really just didn't want to run back to the level. Just take a quick look at this shrine, this altar that you can pray to, and we'll talk about this in just a moment, but pretty creepy. You're going to speed through this dialogue here. She will give you 3 items as long as you exhaust her dialogue. You'll get a fire seed, a divine blessing, and a smooth and silky stone. Now this altar is put in the game just in case you are hollow and you are completely out of human effigies. If you do so and you pray this altar, you will become human again. You cannot have any human effigies in your inventory, and you cannot have them in your item box either. You cannot fool the game into thinking you are out of human effigies, unless you're actually out of human effigies. Get yet another fire seed. That is a total of 3 for this area. And hop down this ledge, turn immediately around, open this iron chest, and you'll get the Manslayer. This is a katana, and this katana does have innate poison damage. However, it does require Twinkling Titanite to upgrade, and its damage is not phenomenal. Almost directly on the other side, we have ourselves a bonfire Ascetic, and from here we will transition to the end of the Shrine of Amana, and we will enter the Undead Crypt, where we will call this episode Finite, or Mil Finito. We'll be done with the episode, is what I'm trying to get at. And what is dead ahead but everyone's favorite, the Dark Souls 2 elevator. Now, I took some time to actually write a letter to FromSoft for this elevator specifically, so I could let them know the community's thoughts on the use of elevators in their games, or at least the length of the elevators in this game. So if you don't mind, I'm going to read that to you now. Dear developers of Dark Souls 2, hi, we love your games. No, seriously, we really do enjoy your games. However, we have a complaint, one chief complaint, that we'd like to see addressed if you could please. While we both understand and appreciate the scope of the areas you are trying to create in this game, the usage of obnoxiously long elevator rides and or ladders is something that we would like to see discontinued in the future because they are, well, obnoxious. Sincerely, Blue Lizard Yellow. So that is an open letter out to the developers. If you'd like to sign, please just leave your name in the comments below. It's not going to do any good, not to mention it's a complete joke, but I hope you guys get the idea. I just hate some of the elevators in this game. But that's going to wrap it up. That is everything possible in the Shrine of Amana. I hope you learned something, and if you did, please leave a comment below and let me know. If I missed something, let me know that too, and I will catch you guys next time.